So if you watched the last video, you already know that recovery isn't passive. It's an active physiological process that your body has to execute after every single session. So today we're getting into what supplement support looks like for that process. And I want to be upfront, this isn't a list of trendy products. Everything I'm covering here has a specific physiological rationale and evidence behind it. So the goal is to match the supplement to the actual mechanism of recovery, and that changes what you reach for and why. Because recovery isn't one thing, it's tissue repair, inflammation regulation, nervous system reset, and energy restoration. So let's go through each one and what the evidence actually supports. Hey, I'm Dr. Jason Barker. I'm a naturopathic doctor, two-time Ironman finisher, and 20 plus years working with endurance athletes. Let's get into it. First things first, tissue repair. So every training session creates micro damage to muscle and connective tissue. So rebuilding that damage requires specific amino acids and cofactors, and one of the most clinically useful combinations here is collagen peptides with vitamin C. Roughly 15 grams of collagen peptides and 50 milligrams of vitamin C taken about 30 to 60 minutes before training. Collagen provides glycine and proline, the two primary amino acids that your tendons, ligaments, and fascia are built from. Vitamin C is required for collagen synthesis to actually happen. Without it, enzymatic conversion stalls. And timing matters here too. The pre-training window appears to prime collagen turnover and connective tissue remodeling more effectively than taking it at random points in the day. A study by Shaw et al. Published good data on this specific approach, showing meaningful improvements in collagen synthesis markers. Now here's one that's worth adding if connective tissue repair is a primary concern, and that is glycine on its own. Glycine is the most abundant amino acid in collagen, and beyond its structural role, it also supports sleep quality through a direct effect on core body temperature regulation. It's inexpensive, it's well tolerated, and most athletes aren't usually thinking about it. Around 3 grams at bedtime is the dose that shows up most consistently in the sleep research. For muscle repair specifically, leucine is worth understanding. Leucine is the primary amino acid that triggers the mTOR signaling pathway, the cellular switch that initiates muscle protein synthesis. Getting at least 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine per meal, particularly post-training, is what the research consistently supports for driving the repair process. This is why total protein quality and distribution across meals matters as much as total daily intake. Second, inflammation regulation. So as I've said before, inflammation isn't the problem is when it doesn't resolve efficiently. And there are several compounds worth knowing about here, each working through a distinct mechanism, which makes them genuinely complementary rather than redundant. Omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, are where I always start. A combined dose of 2 to 4 grams of EPA plus DHA daily is what the research supports for meaningful anti-inflammatory effects in athletes. They work at the resolution phase, supporting the production of specialized pro-resolving mediators, signaling molecules that actively help the inflammatory response turn off once adaptation has been signaled. Curcumin works upstream from omega-3s, inhibiting NF-kappa beta, one of the primary transcription factors driving the inflammatory signaling cascade. The challenge with curcumin is always its bioavailability. Standard turmeric, which curcumin is extracted from, is usually very poorly absorbed. You want a formulation using phospholipid complexes to get meaningful absorption. A typical effective dose is around 500 milligrams of a high bioavailability curcumin extract 1 to 2 times daily. Next is one that I really like but isn't quite as popular, and that is boswellia, also known as Indian frankincense. So boswellic acids specifically inhibit 5-lipoxygenase or 5-LOX, the enzyme responsible for producing leukotrienes, which are a major driver of chronic inflammatory pain and joint inflammation. This is a completely different pathway from omega-3s and curcumin, which is why boswellia is particularly useful for athletes dealing with joint inflammation, chronic tendon issues, or the kind of low-grade persistent inflammatory load that just builds up over a long training season. Clinical doses range from 300 to 500 milligrams of a standard boswellia extract, typically standardized to 65% boswellic acids, taken 2 to 3 times daily. And then there's the category most people usually never talk about, which are systemic enzymes. Proteolytic enzymes like bromelain, serrapeptase, and papain, when taken on an empty stomach away from food, are absorbed systemically rather than used for digestion. So in the bloodstream, they help break down fibrin, which is the protein matrix that accumulates in damaged tissue during the inflammatory response, which in turn helps improve circulation to damaged areas, cleaning up inflammatory debris and just accelerating tissue healing. This is a fundamentally different mechanism from any of the above. The research on systemic enzymes for sports recovery and musculoskeletal inflammation is solid and significantly underappreciated in my opinion. A typical dose is 2 to 5 capsules of a systemic enzyme blend on an empty stomach once or twice daily, timed away from meals, is critical for this to work systemically rather than just digestively. Third, nervous system and sleep support. So full recovery can't happen unless your body actually shifts into parasympathetic mode. That's your kind of rest and digest mode. A lot of athletes are physiologically stuck in a sympathetically activated state, fight or flight. They train hard, the nervous system stays revved, and recovery never fully completes regardless of how much rest they get. Magnesium is foundational here. And I'd argue it's the single most impactful supplement for athlete recovery that's consistently underused. It's getting more and more popular these days. But it supports nervous system regulation, muscle relaxation, and sleep quality. And it's a required cofactor in over 300 enzymatic reactions tied to energy production and recovery alone. The form matters. Magnesium glycinate or magnesium malate are better tolerated and absorbed than magnesium oxide. About 300 to 400 milligrams of elemental magnesium daily is a reasonable starting point, with a portion taken right before bed. L-theanine is worth adding here, particularly for athletes who train in the evenings or struggle to wind down after late sessions. So theanine promotes alpha brainwave activity, which is the relaxed but not sedated state that supports sleep onset. It doesn't cause grogginess. About 200 milligrams before bed is a standard dose. Pairs well with magnesium for nervous system down regulation and is one of my favorite combos. And then there's ashwagandha, specifically sensoril, which is the most studied extract from ashwagandha. Now, ashwagandha works on the HPA axis, helping regulate cortisol and improve stress resilience over time. Several well-designed studies have shown reductions in cortisol, improvements in sleep quality, and meaningful support for recovery and strength adaptations in athletes under training stress. Now, this isn't a sedative. It's a regulatory compound that helps the stress response behave the way it's supposed to. It's supposed to turn off eventually. About 300 to 600 milligrams of a standardized extract of ashwagandha each day is the typical effective dose. Now, rhodiola rosea deserves a mention here as well. It has some of the strongest performance-specific evidence of any of the adaptogens out there, studies showing improvements in time to exhaustion and reductions in perceived exertion during exercise. It works partially through its effects on the stress response, but also through supporting mitochondrial efficiency under physiological stress. About 400 to 600 milligrams of a standardized extract taken in the morning rather than at night is the typical approach. It can be a little activating. Fourth is energy system restoration. So of course, every session depletes glycogen, electrolytes, and the substrates your cells need to produce ATP. Not restoring those between sessions means that you're starting every workout already behind. And over time, that compounds into fatigue, declining performance, and increases your injury risk. Electrolytes are the foundation here: sodium, potassium, magnesium, consistently across the training week, not just during those long sessions. Most athletes are pretty good about in-session hydration, but usually they're inconsistent about daily electrolyte status. Creatine is worth addressing directly for endurance athletes because I think there's still a perception that it's only for strength sports. The evidence on creatine for recovery is actually pretty good. It supports ATP regeneration, reduces muscle damage markers post-exercise, and improves recovery between those repeated efforts. In high-frequency training blocks, that matters a lot, right? So 3 to 5 grams daily of creatine monohydrate, no loading phase needed, is the standard maintenance dose. Tart cherry extract is one that deserves more attention than it gets as well. It's high in anthocyanins, which support both inflammation resolution and oxidative stress reduction. But what makes it interesting is the combination of effects in a single compound. So multiple studies, specifically in endurance athletes, have shown reduced muscle soreness, faster strength recovery, and notably improvements in sleep quality as well. It's one of those things that pulls double duty on multiple recovery systems simultaneously. For athletes dealing with persistent fatigue or evidence of impaired energy production, mitochondrial support nutrients like CoQ10, about 100 to 300 milligrams daily, and L-carnitine, around 2 grams daily, can be a meaningful addition as well. Now, we covered the mechanisms behind both of those in depth in the fatigue series. CoQ10 supports electron transport chain efficiency and carnitine supports fatty acid transport into the mitochondria so they can be burned for fuel. Now, before you build a stack around any of this, there's something important you need to know, right? Supplements work within a system. Adequate protein, enough carbohydrates to match your training load, quality sleep, a training structure that allows for recovery to happen. Those all have to be in place first. These compounds support and optimize a system that's otherwise being managed very well. They don't substitute for those fundamentals. And if you're doing the fundamentals well and recovery is still not improving, that's when you need to look deeper, because there are going to be physiological barriers that supplementation alone can't always overcome. Things like dysregulated cortisol patterns, low testosterone or low DHEA, iron deficiency, gut dysfunction limiting both nutrient absorption and inflammation regulation. These things don't really just show up unless you specifically look for them. And that's exactly what the next video is about: lab testing for recovery, what to look at, and how to use it to identify what's actually holding you back. Please hit the like and subscribe if this was useful. I post science-backed content on performance and recovery regularly. And for individualized testing and protocols built around your specific physiology, please visit naturalathleteclinic.com. I'm Dr. Jason Barker. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.